Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today we have the pleasure of watching Alienslive, or I guess Alienslive, tinfoil hat firmly on right now, playing in their Tier 7 Soviet medium tank. It is the T-43. So this video is going to be one for you who love seeing tech tree tanks having awesome games on this channel. I know, with so much premium content going into the game, you know, it's filling this, Girls and Panzers that, you know, it's really hard to actually keep tabs that there are awesome tech tree tanks as well that aren't just the new Tier 11s. We've seen a lot of Tier 11 gameplay on this channel, and it has been awesome. But today, we're going to take a break from top tier hardcore action to see some just as hardcore action, but at the lower tier. This is the T-43, been in the game since the very beginning, and Alienslive, or Alienslive, goodness gracious, gonna have to get that one through my head before something beams me up and rewires my brain. Hopefully that's all the aliens are going to do, is rewire my brain. Having a good game in their T-43. This vehicle, as I said, has been in the game since the very beginning. It's as OG as it can get in World of Tanks. And this vehicle has gone from, I wouldn't say zero to hero. It was an okay vehicle before, but this thing now has the best win ratio, both with regards to difference and absolute, of any of the Tier 7 mediums. And why is that? Because Wargaming buffed this thing massively in World of Tanks 2.0. The damage per minute stayed the same, however the alpha damage significantly increased up to 220, whereas previously it was 180. So it kind of hits almost more like it's an old school Tier 8 medium now, but with the power creep, I guess that's what you would expect. The penetration as well, up to 164 on the standard rounds. The gold rounds up to 212. It literally does feel like it is kind of like a Tier 7.8 vehicle compared to what you would have in World of Tanks about 5 or 10 years ago. They improved the aim time to 2.2 seconds, the accuracy to 0.36, the dispersion when moving on the vehicle to 0.14, the top speed up to 55 from a 51, and the power to weight ratio went up to 21.5 from 18, which is just absolutely ludicrous. This thing feels more as if it's like a very fast medium tank compared to previously. And also, that if that wasn't enough, the hit points also went up to 1,200 from 1,100. So just an absolute all-round massive buff to the T-43, making it an absolute contender. And we can see that Alienslive is a good T-43 player, an excellent T-43 player with 3 marks of excellence. And it's not really the marks that we're going to be looking for today. It's just their all-round great plays, great awareness, and making good lines of fire against their opponents. Now, this is the old Airfield map. It was updated in the latest patch, but this game is still from World of Tanks 2.0, clearly, if we're playing with the buff T-43, before they've made tiny changes to Airfield, I believe in the center. Wargaming's knee-jerk reaction to trying to fix this map, I guess, is a good thing, because honestly, it's just a little awful. It's just a little bit crap, in all honesty, boys and girls. I would say it's actually probably even worse than the previous Airfield, in my, I guess, subjective opinion. At least I felt like with the previous Airfield, there was a really intelligent fight up towards the north for that lovely bush line along the A line, which doesn't seem to really exist anymore. I don't see anyone going there apart from it being a gigantic noob trap. So all the fighting seems to be focused in the center or towards the south of the map, whereas previously I felt like Airfield was at least pushable from all directions, although still more campy, right? No doubt that it was more risky to push on Airfield than probably most of the other maps on the game. But you know what, if we've got some maps that go on to kind of like that 10-15 minute duration, so be it in a world of 3-minute blowouts. But whether that is map design or just unbalanced teams, even with Wargaming's enhanced Matchmaker 2.0, that's another question altogether. So, Alienslive, goodness, I did it again, Alienslive even, has managed to have one of those great rolling retreat games, and this is something that a lot of us can learn from. Getting into position, setting up that line of fire, but also being willing to fall back before you manage to get overwhelmed. And creating these lines of fire is very much possible on a map like this, with more platforms to be able to engage your opponents, probably than many, if any, other map inside World of Tanks. And when you combine that with a nice flexible build here, with the gun rammer, the rotation device, which will improve the gun handling by about 12.5%, or exactly 12.5%, and coated optics, Aliens Live has got all of the tools at their disposal to be a well-rounded Soviet medium tank. And boy, does this thing end up well-rounded in World of Tanks now. Not just well-rounded, kind of above average in pretty much all areas for a tier 7 medium. It's even got a little bit of armor as well, right? 75 at the front and the side and the rear of the hull, and 90 on the front and the side and the rear of the turret. You know, how well-rounded is that? Literally the same armor at the front and the back and the side. Just this big old Soviet blob going round, now with the speed, now with the DPM, well, not with, it always had the DPM, but with the alpha damage, I should say, to really take it to all contenders. Just a lovely all-round vehicle. And an overperformer now, as I've said, the best win ratio on any tier 7 medium, whether it's premium or not. And that's one of the crazy things about this tank, is there aren't really any OP tier 7 premium tanks, or at least medium ones, inside the game. So the matchmaking that this vehicle has, it's always getting matched up against inferior vehicles, although that pains me to say, considering you know how much I have enjoyed the Comet over its years inside World of Tanks. Oh, lovely. Get in. Finish off the Cromwell Berlin. And this is really where a great player like Aliens Live is going to just explode into the game. And that's crazy to think that previously that Sturzfang 74 would have required 3 shots, now 2. So 2 delivered faster than 3 when you consider that you get to store up alpha damage while you're going around. And also, considering that now the reload on this tank, the base reload, is 6.6 seconds, whereas previously it was 5.4 seconds, that's 1.2 seconds that you don't have to be firing. So when you're taking a gun rammer, when you've got a premium consumable, when you've got all of those things at your disposal, you actually have more time to either set up ambush shots, but also your gun has more time to aim as well, meaning that it's less important to have gun stabilization on this vehicle compared to what it was previously, because you've got higher alpha damage for that worse rate of fire but the same DPM. So, Aliens Live now in a 1 versus 5, and they're going to have to dispose of 4 more opponents if they want to take this one down. So, Aliens is very much aware of the bombardment that might come from the sky, and no, not from a rivaling system. It is from the 2 filthy piglets that will be on the enemy team. That GW Panther and M12 are hungry for some grey anatomy here that T-43 will have. He's also got to defend the cap circle at the same time. It's probably going to be the Sturm Mill, but they actually leave the cap circle now, which is interesting. So what will Aliens do? Will they continue to try and find the enemy vehicles while possibly taking hits from the artillery? Well, 2 birds with 1 stone. That's because the artillery has indeed come for them. And wow, sound detection? Not my favorite skill, but you know, reasons to have it, especially if you are hard of hearing or playing on a laptop. Nevertheless, Aliens Live shuts down the first of those interplanetary bombardment vehicles, with the GW Panther now no more, stricken from the realm, and now they get to have an opportunity to hopefully kite the TDs, but they got to be careful as well, you know? This is a big old map, trying to find that M12, who most likely now knows that they are being hunted, considering that Aliens Live has been seen driving away from the Sturm Mill. They've got to be very careful here, because if that Sturm Mill and the T-2580 get in towards the cap circle, they've only got 50 seconds to be able to get back. Can they make it back in 50 seconds? Probably with the boosted speed on the T-43, although it's still going to be a little bit hairy. And that's the last thing that you want at the end of the game when you're hunting down artillery, to start getting double pressured in the cap circle. But you know what also? Having the TDs cap in this scenario, probably a great thing, because at least you know where they are, they can't be hidden anywhere else, and you can adjust your play around them to be able to finish them off. So there we go, M12 decided to not relocate actually, but was pre-aimed for Aliens Live from coming from the side. But the HE shell slams in for 300, the second one finishes them off, And man, those HE shells, 300 alpha. I believe they already had 300 alpha. I don't think Wargaming actually increased the alpha damage of the HE shells. They were always monstrous. So kind of actually an HE nerf on this vehicle if they didn't actually increase the HE damage, as they have nerfed the rate of fire. And I believe it always had extreme HE, these vehicles. The T-34-85 also had that kind of extreme HE. But I'm not sure if they've buffed the alpha damage of that gun up to 220 as well. That would be pretty monstrous. This vehicle, right up until this patch, was always just such an irrelevant vehicle inside the game. You'd never want to play it. And the reason for that is the T-34-85M. The T-34-85M was pretty much this vehicle down a tier, which would also make extra credits. And so quite rightly now, Wargaming have significantly buffed the tier 7 because they can't nerf the tier 6 premium, right? And whether or not this vehicle needs to be buffed as much, that remains to be seen. But you know what, at least it's not the Type 5 Heavy, which is just extreme, absolutely extreme right now inside the game. So, Aliens, this is your moment to shine. 3 minutes and 46 seconds left on the game, with 7 kills to their name. Aliens Live has now got to hunt 2 more unidentified objects, although we have kind of identified them. It's a Stura Mill and a T-25 AT that will be at least one of them inside the cap circle. So Aliens comes forward. Oh, he gets spotted, thinks that they're in the bush there. Were they in the bush? We won't know for sure. Maybe it was actually a vehicle not inside the cap circle that spotted them there, but with so many bushes in the cap circle, this is ugly stuff. This is one of those situations where, now having lost track of those 2 TDs, they're going to be very much more dangerous. But finally, the T-25-80 gets spotted. They put a big old chonker for 348 in. But you know what? Rate of fire on these 2 tanks, probably quite similar now, but it still allows Aliens Live to finish them off. And previously, again, Aliens Live, or Live, even Live, whatever it is, Aliens would have had to have fired 3 shots there to be able to finish off that T-25-80. However, now is able to finish them off in 2. And that really is where alpha damage is just king inside World of Tanks. And with Aliens now reducing their 1 versus 5 to a 1 versus 1, they just got to hope that they're able to find the Stura Mill here. So they've got choices. They need 1 minute and 40 seconds to cap. Do they think they can make it back to the cap circle in 40 seconds? If they can create a win condition, and they won't have to find the Stura Mill. And that's always something so important to do in World of Tanks, is to try and create win conditions. I see so many people sitting and waiting at the end of the battle, not playing in a way that would ever be able to get themselves a victory. So Aliens decided to not make it back for the cap circle, instead to go on the hunt and see if they can find a Stura Mill in this situation. It's big, it's German, and in this case, it's actually not painted. The Stura Mill forwards. Will Aliens try and get an HE shell through the back? Probably not, considering I think that vehicle has like 50 millimeters of all-round armor and the HE shells on this tank are 44. But they managed to connect 2 whopping shots into the Stura Mill, but they're going to need 2 more to finish them off. Now, how will Aliens handle this situation? Are they going to pretend they're leaving and actually come back and beam up some of the Stura Mill's hit points? Possibly. Is that exactly what's going to happen here? The Stura Mill thinks that Aliens is coming from the other side, and due to the great camo rating on this vehicle, it's got really good camo rating even on the move, they're able to slinky into the bush. And are they going to try and pretend that they're going from the other way? They're waiting for this to re-stealth. The 6th sense won't go off and for the quick enough for the Stura Mill. And let's go. Aliens Live, having an extraterrestrial performance here. Out of this world, one might say. Just how many more puns can I get into this video? I mean, look, you give me something easy to work with, I'm going to go for it. And I tell you what, Aliens Live worked his opponents almost just as easily in this game. What an absolute phenomenal performance in one of the original tech tree tanks of the game, the T-43, which has now propelled itself into the stratosphere, I've got to stop this, of performance inside World of Tanks. Just take a look at it. Win ratio difference up to now 2.5%, and raw win ratio nearly up to the Centurion, St. Gloriana, and the Eagle, even though the players who are playing those vehicles are like 1.5% and like 2% entire win ratio below on average. The T-43 is just here, and it's absolutely ridiculous inside the game, boys and girls. So congratulations to Alienslive for this absolute monster performance in now a monster tank. Nearly 2,200 base, doing like over 6 times the damage of anyone else on their team. They really were the mass in this battle that created their gravity to pull their team to victory. A Radley Walters medal for those 9 kills, a Pascucci's for finishing off those 2 artillery, the one that everybody wants, the Colabanos for standing alone against 5 opponents, and a high caliber for that 6k, as well as a tank sniper for dealing damage at long range. And even better, they still managed to make a profit as they weren't just YOLOing gold, even though they resupplied their premium consumable at full price. So Aliens, congratulations to you on this gargantuan game of World of Tanks. Really lovely to see what the T-43 is capable of. And with a game like 35,000 WN8, I guess you can just go AFK in your next 10 rounds and still be a super unicorn, right? But somehow I think that that's probably not the kind of player that Alienslive is. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was an epic game of World of Tanks. Really hope you enjoyed this tech tree tank. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know what you think about the buff T-43 in the comments down below. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Wednesday, I'm going live all day on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby with some brand new drops. Come get yourself some premium consumables and some decals for an enchanted tank, as I am back in the UK, back on my main computer, and man, it feels really good. I'm just looking forward to hopefully playing World of Tanks as well as I can today, because I never play very well when I am away. Anyway, really looking forward to seeing you all live. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.